Hi everyone, welcome. This is a sort of all-around strength and stability Pilates flow. So we're going to start lying on our back. So come on down, lying on your back, and just have your feet flat on the ground. Before we do anything, I just want you to try to move your pelvis around a little bit and try to find where your neutral pelvis is. And this is really important because we want to build stability and strength in our neutral. So you can think of your hip points, those two little bony hip points, and your pubic bone all kind of laying flat towards the ceiling. You want to have that nice little bit of curve of your lumbar spine, your lower spine still intact. So just try to wiggle around, feel where that neutral is. And then as we go through, I'll keep saying like, come back to your neutral. That's where this is. So from here, let's bring our feet together to touch, our inner thighs together to touch. And you can take your arms out by the side and we'll just start with a little loosening up. So lift your heels up off the ground, your toes are on the mat, hug inner thighs together and take a big inhale breath. And on your exhale, start to hug in, tighten in like you're putting a corset around your middle and you're wrapping in around your waist and in towards that center line of your belly, getting nice and secure, nice and hugged and tight. Keeping that, take your knees over towards one side of your mat. Try to keep your shoulders, both of the shoulders glued to the floor, and just let your knees and your hips twist. Take an inhale. And then exhale, really hug in from those low abdominals, low belly to bring yourself back into neutral. And then take your knees over to the other side, keeping your shoulders still nice and in contact with the floor. Inhale and then exhale like you're trying to hug your lower belly towards the floor to bring you back into that neutral. And then one more time over to the other side, just a little rinsing movement to start off with. On your exhale, really hug in from your low belly to bring your knees back to center. And then over to the other side, take an inhale and exhale, hug in from your core to bring you back into the middle. Feet flat on the ground, separate your feet hip width apart. Take your hands onto your hips here if you want so that you can feel if they're wiggling around. Find that nice neutral and then imagine you've got a seat belt wrapping around your hip points, hugging in nice and tight towards that center line of your belly. On an exhale, lift one leg slowly up off the ground, bringing your knee to stack over your hip and your shin parallel to the ceiling. And as you do that, make sure your hips don't move around at all. On your next exhale, like a nice hinge at your hip, just lower that foot lightly to the ground. And then switch sides. So on an exhale, lift your other leg up into, this is called tabletop position, so shin parallel to the ceiling. And exhale, nice hinge at the hip, lower your foot to the ground. And a couple more times on each side. So as you lift that leg up, make sure no movement happens in your low belly or in your hips. So everything stays really secure, really stabilized. Lowering that leg on your exhale, switching sides. So you're putting the effort on your exhale breath, lifting your leg on an exhale, staying at the top to breathe in, and then lowering your leg again on an exhale. One more time on each side, going with your own breath. Really focus, concentrate in on that feeling of that corset or that wrapping in or that seatbelt around your hip points so that you're lifting and lowering the leg from deep inside of your belly, not from your hip flexors, not from kind of hiking your hips around. Deep inside your belly, that's what's lifting and lowering your leg. Good. Once you've balanced out, equal on both sides, take your arms down onto the mat, palms of your hands flat on the floor. Your feet are about sits bone width apart, nice and parallel. Let's take an inhale breath. And then on your exhale, really tighten in through that low belly to press your lower back into the mat. Lengthen your pelvis back out to neutral. Take a breath in. And again, on an exhale, press your lower back down towards the floor. So you're sort of tucking your pelvis. Inhale, lengthen your pelvis back to neutral. This time we'll add on. Exhale, lower back presses into the mat. Now start to press into your feet and peel your pelvis off the ground, starting with your tailbone, back of the pelvis. Then start to roll up through your spine, one bone at a time. So we're rolling up into our shoulder bridge, meaning you want to roll up just to your shoulder blades. And then try to feel your tailbone really reaching towards the backs of your knees, your thighs and your knees lengthening away from you, and almost a little feeling like you're pulling your heels in towards you. So your hamstrings and your glute muscles are really fired on. Stay here to inhale, and then exhale, soften into your chest, into your sternum to slowly sequence back down through your spine, trying to articulate through those vertebrae one bone at a time, all the way back down to that neutral pelvis, neutral lower spine. We're going to do that again. Inhale, exhale, press your lower back into the mat. Start to roll up through your spine. Start from your tailbone, roll up through that lower lumbar spine, your mid spine, all the way up to just your shoulder blades. Again, thighs and knees lengthen away from you. Tailbone reaches towards the backs of your knees. Breathe in at the top. Exhale, start from your chest. Soften into your sternum. Roll down, starting from the top of your spine. And come all the way back down to your neutral pelvis. Let's add on. So inhale in neutral, exhale, lower back presses into the floor, rolling up through your spine, all the way up into that shoulder bridge. Now, a little press with your hands into the floor. Reach out of your fingertips so your shoulders are nice and easy away from your ears. Shift your weight over into one foot, doesn't matter which leg, and let's extend the opposite foot straight up towards the ceiling. And really try to make sure that those hips are still nice and even. You haven't dropped that one hip. Let's extend the leg down so it's in line with your bottom knee, so your kneecaps are in the same line. And then pull that leg back up, so right up to 90 degrees, perpendicular. And then extend down, kneecaps lined up. Now let's use an exhale to bring that leg back up, straight towards the ceiling. And again, inhale, reach the leg down, kneecaps lined up, and exhale, foot to the ceiling. Bend your knee, place your foot back down to the mat so you're in that shoulder bridge, and then switch legs. So without anything shifting or changing, extend your other leg straight up towards the ceiling. Inhale, reach that leg away from you so that your kneecaps are at the same line. And then exhale, that nice fold right at your hip crease to bring your leg back up towards the ceiling. And inhale, extend your leg away from you. And exhale, back up to 90 degrees. Again, inhale, extend the leg away from you. And exhale, pull it back up. Bend your knee, place your foot to the floor. Inhale, find that nice shoulder bridge. Exhale, soften into your sternum, your chest. Roll all the way down through your spine, articulating as you come down. Back to neutral. Good. From here, let's roll over onto one side. Extend your arm out long so your ear can rest on your arm. And then bend your knees so you've got a nice stack of your knees and your hips. And take that top hip and kind of lengthen it down towards the bottom of your mat so that you feel your waist, the bottom side of your waist, get a little bit of sense of lift away from the ground. And then get that same sort of corset wrap or hug, engaging your deep abdominals, your core here inside lying. Top leg extends all the way down towards the bottom of your mat. Flex your foot nice and strong. So you're pressing out of your heel. Now keeping your hips really steady, so no kind of hula hoop movements of the hips, keep them really steady. Press the outside edge of your foot slightly up towards the ceiling and then lower it down. And then again, slightly up and lower down. And just breathe as you need to. Reach and lift. Keep reaching that leg long and lower. Press and lift and lower down. And we've got 5 more. Pressing up and lowering down. You can put your hand on your hip if you need to make sure that the hip isn't moving with the leg. So it's just the thigh bone moving in the hip socket. Everything else is really stable and secure. And I've lost count, but I think we've got 2 more. And then 1 more. Now extend that underneath leg as well. So you've got both legs reaching out nice and long. Now we're going to do both legs at the same time. So press out of your heels, take an inhale. On your exhale, see if you can lift both legs. And then inhale, lower, and exhale, lift. And keep going. Inhale, lower, and exhale, lift. And as you lift, try to keep that underneath side of your waist still lifted away from the ground as well. So still neutral through your pelvis and your spine. Let's do 2 more. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower, and exhale, lift. Good. Now both legs down. Take your top arm long along that top thigh. We're going to lift the legs and the upper body. So coming into a banana. So legs lift. Slide that top arm down your thigh. You can look towards your feet with your gaze. See if you can lift the legs, lift the upper body, feel that wiggly balance point, and smoothly come down. And let's go again 3 more times. Exhale, sliding up into that banana shape. And inhale, come down. Exhale, reach your hand down your thigh. It's a little hard to find balance, so that's kind of the point. That's why we're doing this. And again, coming up and lowering down. Good. So let's take that top hand, tent it to the floor again. Bottom knee's going to bend 1 more time. Top leg is going to stay straight. Keep that nice reach out of your top leg and turn your foot slightly out. Not just your foot. I shouldn't say foot. Your whole thigh. So that thigh bone is going to slightly turn out in your hip socket without your hip moving. Now drawing circles with your heel on that wall down below you. So let's take your legs slightly forwards. Circle it up towards the ceiling. Take it ever so slightly back behind you and then pull it down. And keep going. And as you make those nice circles, try to keep your hips as steady as possible. So keep that hug in through your core. Hips are not moving. This is just thigh bone in hip socket. And as you keep circling, you want to keep that leg reaching out of your hip socket as far as possible. So press out of your heel. Press, 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 especially as it starts to get a little bit hard, right? As your muscles start to fatigue a little bit, keep that length, keep that reach. Let's do 2 more. Make sure you're still breathing. Keep that center hugging in, supporting you. And then let's let that go. Give it a little shake out if you need to. And come on back, lying down on your back. All right, so feet flat on the floor. Let's take our hands and interlace them behind our head. Elbows nice and wide in a broad V position so you can see your elbows in your peripheral vision. Neutral pelvis, neutral lower spine, lower back. Inhale here, and on your exhale, nod your chin in towards your chest and curl up like you're coming into a crunch. But as you come up into that crunch, make sure that you haven't tucked your pelvis. So keep that nice neutral pelvis and lower spine. Easy neck, elbows in that nice broad V, and then just lower head, neck, shoulders back down to the mat. Again, inhale and exhale, chin nods to chest, curling up, gazing down towards your navel, making sure that pelvis is still in that real nice neutral position, and then come on back down. This time we're going to stay up. So exhale, chin nods to chest, and curling up. Now let's stay here. Inhale. As you breathe out, we'll take a little rotation of your rib cage towards the right. And when I say rib cage, I mean don't crank your elbows and your shoulders around. Keep your nose and the center of your chest lined up. So this bit of rotation is happening just from your rib cage moving. Back to center, inhale, and then over to the left, so to the other side, exhale. And then keep that going. Center, breathe in. Keep your hips nice and steady, no movement in the pelvis. Rotating on your exhale. Center in. And to the other side, breathing out. We're going to do a couple more of those. Center. And as you rotate, you can think of that armpit almost trying to reach towards the opposite knee. Not the elbow, the armpit. Center, inhale, and then other side. Maybe that helps to think of armpit reaching towards the knee. Center, once you've balanced it out on both sides, lengthen and lower head, neck, and shoulders towards the mat. Adding on. So inhale, breath. And chin nods to chest. Exhale, curling up, keeping that nice neutral pelvis. Gaze down towards your navel. And then let's lift one leg and then the other into that tabletop position. Now keeping your hips really steady. No rocking side to side or moving at all. So really hug in like your belly button is really drawing down towards your spine. Let's inhale, breath. And then exhale, slowly press your right leg away from you on a diagonal. Don't move anything else. And then inhale, right leg comes back to that tabletop position. Left leg presses away from you as long as possible. Exhale. Center, breathe in. And then right leg again. Keep looking down at your pelvis so that you can see if there's any kind of rocking or moving going on. Switch sides on your exhale and really hug in, really support from those deep, low abdominals. One more time on each side. Exhale, press. Inhale to tabletop and exhale, press. Back to tabletop on an inhale, hug your knees to your chest and lower your head, neck, and shoulders to the floor. One more while we're here. So hands interlace behind your head. You can bring your feet back down to the ground. Inhale, same starting. Exhale, chin nods in, curl on up into that crunch position. And then next exhale with control, one leg and other leg up to tabletop. So adding those two things together, breathe in where you are here. And then on an exhale, press your right leg away from you and rotate your right armpit towards your left knee. And then back to tabletop, back to center, inhale. Left leg presses away from you. Left armpit rotates towards right knee. Center, inhale. So this is our crisscross. Exhale, rotating and pressing that leg away from you. Center, breathing in. Try to feel just your rib cage rotating, not your shoulders and your elbows leading the way. Back to center. Let's go one more time on each side. Use your breath to help you. Inhale, keep belly button really hugging down towards spine. Exhale, rotate. Back to center on a breath in, hug knees into chest, and again, lower down through head, neck, shoulders, and just give those knees a little squeeze. All right, let's come on to our other side. I'm just gonna swing around so that I can still look at you. So we'll have other side, whichever side you did first time. Make sure you're switching it up on this side. So ear on your arm, knees bent. So you're kind of just stacking your legs first. And then reach that top hip down and away from you towards the bottom of your mat. So you get that little sense of lift from the underneath side of your waist. From there, top leg is going to extend straight down and really press, really kick out of your heel. You can keep your hand on the floor, a hand on your hip if that helps you feel what's going on. Single leg lift. So pressing outer edge of your foot up and then lengthening down. And just keep going with that. Up and down. And if you need to take a little look, you can. You want to make sure that that thigh, that leg, is straight down from your hip, not kind of piked forwards or back, but straight down from your hip. Keep going. Make sure the hips aren't compensating, right? Make sure the hips aren't rocking and rolling. that is just a straight movement of thigh bone in hip socket, and everything else is staying supported and steady. You still have that nice sort of corset wrap around your middle. And let's do a few more. Of course, I wasn't counting. Hopefully it's somewhat even with the other side. And last 2. And last 1. And now let's extend both legs. Press out of both heels. And on an exhale, try to lift both legs. And inhale, lower. And exhale, both legs. Inhale, lower. Again, your side waist does not change, or hopefully doesn't change. Your hips should stay fairly steady. And this is just about the legs moving in the hip sockets. Couple more. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. And one more. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Now take that top arm onto your top thigh, going into our banana. So on your exhale, legs lift, slide your hand down your thigh, look down towards your feet and reach that top hand down towards your feet. And then inhale, lower down. And 3 more times. Exhale, reaching up and feel the wobbles. Fight for the balance. 2 more times. Sliding up. And inhale down 1 more time. Exhale, sliding up. And inhale down. Great. Top hand tense to the floor. Bottom leg bends again. Top leg stays straight. And here we're turning that thigh bone slightly out in your hip socket without your hips moving. Going for those big circles, reach out of your heel as far away from you as you can. Circle slightly forwards, slightly up, ever so slightly back and down. And keep going with that. Maybe put your hand on your hip if that helps you, so that you can feel if your hips are kind of stirring around here as well. You want to stay as stable through your pelvis, through your core as you can, and just isolate that movement of your leg moving in the hip socket. Breathe. So especially if it's getting a little challenging, check in with your breath that it's nice and steady, and keep that top leg reaching away from you. So I know that once those muscles for me start to fatigue a little bit, my leg kind of shrivels and shrinks a bit. So keep that reach away from you. Keep it as long as possible. You've got a couple more. Keep going. Again, I've totally lost count, but that's all right. And then last one. Nice big slow circle, reaching that leg long, 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 long. And then give it a little shake out if you need to. And let's return onto our backs. Okay. So from here, we're going to move into our hundreds, and I'll give you some options. So let's take our arms down by our sides. Reach your fingertips long. Inhale, breath, and on your exhale, chin nods to chest, and curling up again into that crunch position, keeping that really neutral pelvis. Look at your navel and think of your belly button pulling back towards your spine. Now feet can stay on the ground, that's option 1. Option 2, legs can be in tabletop position. And then option 3, really hug those inner thighs together and extend your legs away from you. And you can decide, it can be a nice high 45 degrees, or for more challenge, it can be a little bit of a lower 45 degrees. Okay, so wherever you are, let's start to pulse the arms. Pulse, pulse, pulse. And then we'll add on the breath. So we'll inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in. Breathing out. Couple more rounds. Keep that belly button really pulling back towards your spine to counterweight the legs. Make sure that nothing is moving except for that nice pulse of your arms. Keep gazing down towards your navel. And let's do one more round of your inhale for 5 counts and exhale for 5 counts. And then bend your knees, hug them in. Lower head, neck, and shoulders to the ground. Good. Now, arms down by your sides. Let's point the toes straight up towards the ceiling. Neutral pelvis. Really hug in, find that corset wrap. Again, like that sort of seat belt wrap around your hip points. Let's open the legs slightly out towards the side, and then really pulling belly button back towards your spine. Circle your legs down together, and then back up to that perpendicular sort of 90-degree position. So again, legs open, and then on an exhale, scoop them down and around together, and then back up to 90. Few more rounds. As you scoop the legs down and around, really pull belly button back towards spine and keep that neutral pelvis the whole time. Last one. Circling and pulling back up. And then let's bend the knees, hug them on in, and take a little rock and roll. Let's come on up to our seat and swing through to hands and knees. So just a bit of cat-cow here to get some things moving here. Place your hands directly underneath your shoulders and think of a little sort of external wrap or rotation of your upper arm bones, like they're spiraling around. The backs of your arms, your triceps want to be kind of like hugging in towards the side of your waist. Belly button lifts up towards your spine. Keep that sense of nice core support here for your lower back. And then reach your chest forwards. Reach your sternum bone forwards. Gather your shoulders back onto the back of your chest. Neck is still nice and long. And then as you breathe out, start from your tailbone scooping underneath you. Hug your lower belly up towards your spine and press the ground away from you with your hands. Again, inhaling to open your chest, coming into your cow pose, but making sure you still have that little hug of your belly button up towards your spine. And then exhale, tailbone scoops underneath you, lower belly scoops up towards the spine, round your back. And last time, pulling your chest forwards, hugging your shoulders back. And exhale, take that scoop of the tail underneath you, your belly up towards spine, and round. Good. Back to your neutral. And then keeping that same belly button lift up towards your spine. Let's take our right leg and extend it back behind us. Take your left fingertips and extend them forwards. Nothing changes. Hips and shoulders stay exactly as they are. Let's reach out of arm and leg and lift. Only lift as high as you can without kind of dumping into that lower back. So keep that belly button really lifting up towards your spine. And then tap toes and fingertips down. And then keep going. Reach and lift and tap down. And reach and lift. Staying really stable through your shoulders and your hips. And lengthen and lift and tap down. And one more time, lengthen and lift and tap down. Now let's take our forearms down onto the mat. Right leg is still extended behind you. Belly button lifted. Bend that right knee to 90 degrees. Now flexing your foot, try to press your heel up towards the ceiling. Pressing, pressing, pressing. So you really want to feel your hamstrings and your glutes on that right leg working. Keep that belly button lifting towards your spine. Your core is still engaged and supporting you here. Keep those little pulses. Pressing your heel up towards the ceiling. Let's do 5 more. And 4, 3, and 2, and 1. Good. Now take that right shin down onto the mat. Let's come on back up to hands and knees. Tuck the toes and hover your knees off of the mat. Now, long spine, so reach out of the crown of your head, strong arms, press your hands into the floor. On an exhale, pull that right knee forwards to touch your right elbow. And then take your right toes back to the mat, and then left knee forwards to left elbow. And then back. And again, right knee, right elbow, and take it back. And left knee, left elbow, and take it back. Now inhale breath into that sort of hovering tabletop position, and then exhale, spin your heels to one direction, your knees to the opposite direction, and take a little press back of your bum towards your heels. And then come back through that sort of hovering tabletop, and then other side, exhale, press back. And let's go a few more times. So forwards, breathe in, swizzle and press back, breathe out. And again, forwards, inhale, and a little swizzle and press back, exhale. Come on back through towards center, and let's take a downward dog just to lengthen it out. So nice and long through your arms, your waist, your spine. You can let your head hang here a little bit. Pedal out your heels if you want. And then let's return down to hands and knees, and we're gonna go to the other side. So we'll take our left leg straight back, right fingertips straight forwards, and again, get that nice hug, wrap, support, core engagement. Nothing moves in the pelvis or in the shoulders, just lengthen and lift that opposite arm and leg, and then tap down. Lengthen and lift, and tap down. And it might be helpful to exhale as you lengthen and lift, and inhale to tap down. So you can try that. It's helpful to use the exhale on the place where you have the most effort. So reaching, tapping down. Let's do two more. Lengthen and lift, and tap down. And one more. Lengthen and lift, and tap down. Good. Come on down to your forearms. Bend that left leg 90 degrees. Flex your foot so you're pressing your heel towards the ceiling. Again, pelvis and shoulders stay steady and stable as you start to pulse and press your heel up towards the ceiling. As you press, it's really easy to let your lower back kind of sway. And it's like, oh, it's so much easier to lift my leg. But keep your hips totally steady. So the only movement is, again, that thigh bone in your hip socket. Keep that belly button lifting towards your spine. Let's go for 5 more, 4 more, and 3, and 2, and 1. And bring that left shin down onto the mat. And here we go. We're going to go into some side kneeling forearm planks. So let's take our right forearm to the ground, and I want you to take your forearm kind of on a bit of a diagonal, just so it's a little easier for that shoulder. And then we're going to be on our shin. So you're kind of like a side plank position, but you've got yourself resting on your shin and on your forearm. And let's just check that that elbow is directly underneath your shoulder, so your bones are stacked. Now see if you can find that feeling of your tailbone reaching towards the backs of your knees, and that nice corset wrap around your middle, around your waist. So you're really supported right from your core, your center. Top hand to top hip, and extend that top leg nice and long. Here we go with some circles. So with that top leg, drawing circles on that wall down below you, maybe about the size of like a beach ball, basketball, whatever size works for you to think of. And as that leg circles, really try to stay steady through pelvis, core, right? So there's nothing compensating and wiggling around. You're just moving that leg in the hip socket. Stay nice and pressed with that bottom forearm into the ground so your shoulder blade is really secure on the back of your chest. So your shoulder's nice and stable as well. A couple more circles. I know it's hard. And last 2. And last 1. And maybe feel the little wiggles and shakes, that's okay. Stack your shins together and then lower your hips to the ground. Let's stay on that forearm. Top arm lengthens down. Let's take an inhale to press into the ground and sweep up and over like a big rainbow arc. So you're pressing up from underneath your waist and underneath your hips. And then exhale, lightly lift and lower down. And again, inhale, pressing up and over. And exhale, lowering down. And 2 more times. Press up from underneath your waist, underneath your hips, and lower down. And 1 more time. Inhale, up and over. And exhale, down. Let's slide out onto our belly. So come onto your belly. And let's have our legs just a teeny bit wider than hip width apart, just like slightly. And your arms are going to be in these kind of bookend or goalpost arm positions. So you can take a look if you're not quite sure what I mean. Forehead on the mat. And then right away, lift your belly button up towards your spine. And you may feel your glute muscles engage slightly, that's okay. So lifting belly button up towards that lower spine. Inhale. And then exhale, reach out of the top of your head. Pull forwards through your chest and try to peel the top of your chest up off of the mat. Make sure your belly button is still lifting up away from the ground towards your lower spine. Gather your shoulders back and try to drag your chest forwards. Back of the neck nice and long. And then reach even a little bit longer as you lower to the floor. Let's do that 2 more times. So inhale, belly button lifts. Exhale, reach out of the top of the head. Peel your head and your chest away from the ground. Reaching forwards, almost like you could drag your collarbones, your sternum way out in front of you. And then lengthen and lower. And we've got 1 more of those. Inhale, keep that core engaged, belly button lifted. Reach out of your head. Peel your chest away from the ground. Gather those shoulders back. Coming up, you can let your elbows lift slightly off the ground if that works for you, pressing into the hands, dragging your chest forwards, and then lengthening and lowering down. Little child's pose. Just a little slide back towards your heels with your hips. Let that go. You can even come on up to sit on your shins, your knees, and do a little circular roll out there just to loosen up your back. And then we're going to come over onto our other side and do that fabulous forearm, shin, side plank. So on that other forearm, again, just have that forearm on a diagonal so you can be more secure in that shoulder. Shins together and then press up. Check that your elbow is under your shoulder. Top hand can be on your hip. You want to get that feeling again of tailbone kind of like scooping down towards your knees. So you get that nice long lower spine. You're not kind of sticking your booty out behind you. And then send that top leg nice and long. Reach out of your heel and we'll start to find those circles. Whichever size of circle. It could be really small circles. So this is really challenging. A smaller, more precise circle is better than a bigger, flailing all over the place circle. So smaller and precise is always better. Keep reaching out of your heel. Keep finding all that nice stability from your core, your center. Your hips are staying nice and steady. That bottom shoulder, that bottom arm, press it into the ground and feel your shoulder blade really hug onto the back of your rib cage. Couple more circles. Keep breathing. Feel the effort. Feel the shakes, the wiggles. I know I am. Strengthening these outer glutes. It's always a good challenge. And last 2. And last 1. And then bend that knee, shins stack, and lower your hips to the floor. Top arm reaches out long. Here we go. Inhale, press into the shins. Sweep up and over, big rainbow arc. And then lower down on an exhale. And 3 more times. Inhale, up and over. And exhale. Hips come down. And keep going up and over. And coming down. And then last one, up and over. You're really going for as much sort of lateral movement here through the spine, through the rib cage as you can. And come on down. Onto your belly. One more time. Let's take that same arm position, that sort of bookend or goalpost arm position. Legs extended out nice and long, tiny bit wider than your hips. Take an inhale, lift your belly button away from the floor. And exhale, reach out of the crown of your head. Reach out of your sternum and peel your head and chest just slightly off the ground. We may not go up quite as high this time as we did before, so it's just more like you're kind of taking a little bit of flight. Now reach out of your legs so much that your feet hover slightly off the floor. Make sure your belly button is still lifted. Now from here, start to almost like clap your heels together and try to think of your inner thighs really trying to squeeze together, or like you're trying to clap your inner thighs together. Keep that going. You can pick up the pace a little bit. So kind of like clap, 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 clap. And see if you can keep your belly button lifted off of the ground. And keep that nice length out of the crown of your head, out of your sternum. Keep going for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Reach the legs long. Lower them to the floor. Inhale, reach your chest forwards, and exhale, lower to the ground. Turn on over to your back. One more time. I know I'm not doing a very traditional flow, Pilates flow, but that's okay. Kind of doing what feels good in my own body. So from here, let's extend the legs out nice and long. Flex your feet. Reach out of your heels. Take your arms, reach them to the ceiling. Fingertips pointing to the ceiling. Inhale, breath. And then exhale, chin nods into your chest. Lift your head up between your arms so you're looking down towards your feet. Stay here to inhale. And then exhale, really scoop your abdominals back towards your spine and roll all the way up, peeling one bone of your spine off of the ground after the other. And then reach up and over your legs like you're reaching up and over a big, huge exercise ball. Take an inhale breath. And then as you exhale, scoop your tailbone towards your heels. Really scoop your abdominals back towards your spine. And slowly roll all the way back down. Head is the last thing to arrive. Let's do that again. Inhale, breath. Exhale, chin nods to chest. And lift your head up between your arms. Stay to breathe in. And then exhale, really scoop those lower abdominals. Curl up one bone at a time. Coming up and over your legs in that nice big C-shaped spine. Inhale, breath. And exhale, scoop backwards off of your tailbone. Really gather your lower belly back towards your spine and lower all the way down. Okay, now adding on. So inhale, lift your head between your arms, and exhale, roll all the way up and over. Inhale, roll backwards off of your tailbone, and exhale to roll all the way down. Let's do one more of those. Inhale, chin to chest, lift the head. Exhale, scoop, scoop, scoop through your abs to roll all the way up. And inhale, roll off of the tailbone. And exhale to roll all the way down. Reach your arms up above your head and just give yourself a good reach, stretch, wiggle, and turn on over one more time. Let's come to our forearms. So elbows underneath shoulders, tuck your toes. You can lift up onto your knees, so you're in like a forearm supported plank, or extend your legs all the way. Now tailbone towards heels. You can think pubic bone drawing up towards your belly button, so you have that nice long supported lower spine. Rock forwards on your toes, and then rock back like you're trying to press your heels to the wall behind you. And then rock forwards and rock back. And let's do 3 more of those. Forwards and back. And 2 more forwards. Keep that lower belly really hugging in towards your spine. Back, 1 more time. Forwards and back. Find your neutral. Lower your knees slowly with control to the ground. Come on up onto your hands and find downward facing dog. So nice, just lengthen, little stretch out moment there. Big breath if you'd like, and then a little bend in your knees, and take a little walk of your hands back towards your feet. So you're in a nice forward fold. Soft bend in the knees, let your head dangle. And then feeling your tailbone pull down towards the ground, let's slowly roll up to stand, scooping your abdominals, your belly back towards your spine to help support you as you roll all the way up. Take a nice inhale breath and an exhale breath. And that finishes our little Pilates flow. Thanks for tuning in, for practicing. Take care.